Our story kicks off with a boss introducing the new intern, a smiling guy named Meng Shu, who is our hero. After graduating, he truly believed that if he just worked his butt off, one day he'd get rich and turn his life around. But just 1 week later, reality hit him like a ton of bricks, and all that initial optimism went right out the window. His eyes are bloodshot from staring at a computer screen for endless hours without a break. Crushed by the daily grind, he realizes hard work doesn't guarantee a thing and wonders why the world doesn't just end already. Shu throws himself back in his chair, completely drained, and just stares at the office ceiling. He decides to just forget about it all and get some sleep, since tomorrow is just another day of slaving away. He figures some people are just born lucky. Just as he's wishing the world would blow up, a strange voice chimes in, and a screen appears, activating a perfect life system. The panel displays his name, Meng Shu, as a level 0 intern, and his stats pop up on the screen, too. He's completely baffled by the screen that just materialized in front of him and has no idea what's going on. Then it clicks, our young man realizes this is a system. Just like in the stories, and with a grin, he decides he's done with overtime for good. Overjoyed, he jumps up, throwing his papers in the air and screaming that he's finally free from this hellhole. But in that exact moment, a massive explosion erupts outside the building as a truck smashes into a car. Startled by the noise, our hero peeks out the window and sees that the gas main on the street has exploded, causing all the chaos. The street is completely torn up, with fire everywhere, and unfortunately, a lot of people were caught in the blast. But the people aren't just injured. They've turned into bizarre creatures with glowing red eyes, and they're attacking each other. The victims of the explosion are now acting like wild monsters, attacking anyone they see in a frenzy. Watching all this from his window, our protagonist breaks into a cold sweat, but a strange smile spreads across his face. He decides to close the blinds, so he doesn't have to look at the chaos that has taken over outside. Desperately, he asks the system what its name was again and what the perfect part was all about. The system confirms it's the perfect life system, and he yells that this has got to be a joke, with a full-blown apocalypse happening right outside. As he's complaining, one of his infected coworkers appears and starts trying to break through the glass door. The infected woman slams her body against the glass, trying to get into the room where our protagonist is hiding. Just watches her, and he seems to recognize the woman trying to break in. He remembers her as the boss's pretty niece. They even rode the elevator together once. The woman keeps banging on the glass, trying to shatter it. Our guy gets an awkward smile on his face and says to just pretend he didn't say anything earlier about being free. Then, a new mission from the system pops up. It tells him to flirt with the woman to gain 1 point and a partner. Without many options, he opens a drawer and pulls out a bag of some kind of chips or crackers. But he completely ignores the snack and instead gets ready to grab a water cooler jug to use as a weapon. He figures staying put is pointless, so he might as well test out the system, since he'll have to leave eventually anyway. The plan in mind, he walks over to the glass door and unlocks it, letting the creature in. As soon as he opens the door, the woman lunges forward with everything she's got, even losing a shoe mid-air. But she ends up taking a nasty fall and is a little dazed from the unexpected tumble. At that moment, the young man approaches her, introduces himself, and asks if they can be friends. Seeing that she doesn't respond, he says that her silence means she accepts his friend request. Then he quickly dashes back into the room and slams the glass door right in her face. The creature sits on the floor outside, completely confused about what just happened. Suddenly, fury takes over, and she lets out a deafening scream, her eyes glowing intensely. In a rage, she starts ramming her head against the glass door with all her might. The glass begins to crack under her relentless assault, and the woman shows no signs of stopping. The protagonist watches all this with a smirk and wonders if that counts as a successful flirt. The system notifies him that the mission is complete but with a terrible rating, which really ticks our guy off. He gets 1 attribute point and 10 affection points with Chi Wei, and he finally remembers his coworker's name. Meng Shu wonders if high affection stops zombies from attacking him, since her good looks don't really matter anymore. The system explains that affection makes the target approach and obey him, but our guy scoffs that he'll just get bitten faster that way. But the part about controlling zombies gets him thinking, and he wonders if his future girlfriend would be one of those creatures. Annoyed, he complains that there's no beginner's guide, and that he'll have to figure everything out on his own from now on. So Sue decides to stop complaining and tells the system to add his attribute point to strength. With a determined sigh, he braces himself for the changes about to happen to his body. The system screen appears, confirming the point was successfully added. His strength is now 11. A blue aura surrounds his body as he feels the power surge, and he screams that he's ready for the apocalypse. Outside, the city is in chaos with zombies everywhere. In this new world, stats are everything. Back in the office, Shu scrounges for supplies and only finds a bottle of booze and a bag of chips. He feels a surge of strength as he holds the bottle and realizes the attribute point really worked. He sits down with the few supplies he found, knowing that without a rescue, this won't last long. Just then, a new mission appears. The system tells him he has 17 minutes to clock in and get to work. The reward is 5 points and a chance to meet an executive, so he looks at the door in horror. Turns out the time clock is on the outside, right where the zombie Shi-Wei is still banging on the glass. He notices that the creature's desire for him seems to have grown, and she's even more aggressive than before. The system informs him that the flirt mission can be redone to improve the terrible rating he received. With a determined look, Zhu realizes he can complete both missions at the same time with a single plan. He knows the biggest danger is infection, so he needs to avoid getting scratched at all costs to keep from turning into a zombie. To prepare for the fight, he grabs a pair of scissors that were on the desk to use. Using paper and tape, he improvises some armor to protect his legs from bites and scratches. All geared up with his paper armor and a makeshift spear, he declares he's going to complete the system's mission, no matter what. Full of confidence, Zhu opens the glass door again to face the zombies waiting outside. As soon as he opens it, he comes face to face with a hallway full of creatures, and they all turn to stare at him instantly. He drops to the floor, extends a hand to Shi-Wei, professes his love, and asks if she wants to go out with him. Then he hops up with his spear and invites her to dinner, saying he'll work hard to pay the mortgage. Continues to circle the zombie, thinking that maybe saying more pickup lines will increase his affection points. But the system warns him that her impression of him was awful, and her affection dropped by 110 points, leaving him confused. Shi-Wei glares at the protagonist with a look of pure contempt, seemingly offended by his approach. Zhu breaks into a cold sweat and makes a face, realizing his attempt at flirting only made things worse. Meanwhile, in another room, two men hear the commotion, and one of them asks, "Isn't that little Meng's voice?" Hiding, the two coworkers wonder what on earth Meng is doing, declaring his love for the boss's niece. The manager is shocked, thinking the newbie has finally snapped. He always thought the kid was a bit weird. But he's intrigued, wondering why the creature isn't just attacking him on the spot. With that, the boss tells the other employee to stay quiet and assures him that if he listens, they'll both survive. Meanwhile, our protagonist completely ignores the zombies and calmly walks over to the time clock. With a confident smirk on his face, Meng Shu successfully clocks in, completing his mission. Right after, he hears a noise from another room and realizes there are more zombies in the office. The system congratulates him, telling him he's earned 5 points and the admiration of a superior as a reward. He asks what the points are for, and a shop opens up, showing items like water and crackers. But he gets furious when he sees he can also spend his precious points on money, which is completely useless now. Meng realizes Shi-Wei isn't going to attack him, but he decides to head back to the room because of the other zombies. However, on his way back, a voice calls out to him, asking him to come over to the other room. It's his colleagues, and the manager asks him to do them a favor and lure the zombie away. Our protagonist stares at them and sarcastically asks where the manager was when he needed help. Then he walks over to them, saying it's good to have allies in the apocalypse, and asks how he can help. The manager opens the door with a fake smile and invites the protagonist into their room. But as soon as he turns his back, the door is slammed shut right behind him. The boss locks the door and promises our hero a promotion for luring the creature away. And with that, Meng is trapped outside in the hallway with the zombie Shi-Wei. However, Meng just smiles and says the manager is such a prankster for pulling a stunt like that. The system congratulates him for getting the boss's attention and warns him not to be ungrateful. Then he suggests they head back to the company's main office across the street to get some work done. The guy's insane suggestion leaves the two men completely terrified and speechless. They're now certain that the intern has completely snapped and try to barricade the door even more securely. The manager desperately screams for his colleague to grab a desk to block the entrance and keep him out. While the other man struggles to push the furniture, the boss yells at him to hurry up, but the door explodes inward as our protagonist kicks it clean off its hinges, sending the manager flying. He then stops in front of the fallen boss and greets him with a "good morning" and a sinister smile. Meng then says his goodbyes, telling them he's heading back to work, and leaves them behind in the hallway. The two men are left there on the floor, completely clueless as to what just happened. In the hallway, Shi-Wei spots the protagonist, who braces himself for what's coming. Shi-Wei's gaze shows she's locked onto the two men the protagonist just dealt with. She blitzes towards the men at high speed. Shi-Wei bursts into the room where the manager was with incredible speed. However, Meng reaches a door and completely ignores the screams for help coming from the manager. He just holds the doorknob with a calm expression as the desperate cries continue. Suddenly, a splash of red splatters against the glass of the door, and the screams finally stop.